Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 is a 2010 fantasy film directed by David Yates and distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. It is the first of two cinematic parts based on J.K. Rowling's 2007 novel of the same name and the seventh installment in the Harry Potter film series. It was written by Steve Kloves, produced by David Heyman, David Barron, and Rowling, and features an ensemble cast. The film stars Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter with Rupert, Grint and Emma Watson, respectively reprising their roles as Harry's best friends, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger. It is a sequel to the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince in 2009 and is followed by the concluding entry, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in 2011. The story follows Harry Potter, who has been asked by Dumbledore to find and destroy Lord Voldemort's secret to immortality, the Horcruxes. Filming began on the 19th of February 2009 and was completed on 12th of June 2010. Part 1 was released in 2D cinemas and IMAX formats worldwide on the 19th of November 2010. The film received positive reviews from critics praising its performances, cinematography, visual effects, and musical score. In the film's worldwide opening weekend, Part 1 grossed $330 million, the third highest in the series and the highest opening of 2010, as well as the eighth highest of all time. With a worldwide gross of $977 million, Part 1 is the third highest grossing film of 2010, behind Toy Story 3 and Alice in Wonderland, and the third highest grossing Harry Potter film in terms of worldwide totals, behind Deathly Hallows Part 2 and The Philosopher's Stone in 2001. Additionally, it received 2 nominations at the 83rd Academy Awards, Best Art Direction and Best Visual Effects. Besides the main 3 cast members, the returning cast included Bonnie Wright as Ginny Weasley, Ron's younger sister and Harry's love interest, Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix Lestrange, the Death Eater, Sirius Black's insane cousin and murderer and the aunt of Draco, Robbie Coltrane as Rupert Hagrid, Harry's half-giant friend and gamekeeper at Hogwarts, Warwick Davies now as Grimhook, a goblin and former employee of Gringotts Bank. Davies replaced Vern Troyer, who portrayed the character physically in the first film, though Davies had dubbed Grimhook's lines. Tom Felton as Draco Malfoy, a Death Eater and son of Lucius and Narcissa Malfoy. Ralph Fiennes as Lord Voldemort, an evil power-hungry wizard and the leader of the Death Eaters. Michael Gambon as Professor Albus Dumbledore, a former headmaster of Hogwarts killed by Severus Snape in the previous film. Brendan Gleeson as Alistair Mad-Eye Moody, a member of the Order of the Phoenix. John Hurt as Garrick Ollivander, a wand-maker abducted by the Death Eaters. Rhys Evans is a new character as Xenophilus Lovegood, the eccentric father of the trio's friend, Luna. Jason Isaacs as Lucius Malfoy, Draco Malfoy's father and disgraced Death Eater. Helen McCrory as Narcissa Malfoy, Draco's mother and Bellatrix's sister. Bill Nye as Rufus Scrimgeour, the new Minister of Magic. Alan Rickman as Professor Severus Snape, a double agent to the Death Eaters and the new headmaster of Hogwarts. Jim Broadbent as Professor Horace Slughorn, the new potions teacher at Hogwarts, who has secret knowledge regarding Lord Voldemort. Timothy Spall as Peter Pettigrew, or Wormtail, the Death Eater who betrayed Harry's parents to Voldemort. Imelda Staunton as Dolores Umbridge, a senior Under-Secretary of the Minister for Magic and the head of the Muggle-born Registration Commission. David Thewlis as Remus Lupin, a member of the Order of the Phoenix and former teacher at Hogwarts. Natalia Teng as Nymphadora Tonks, Remus Lupin's wife and member of the Order of the Phoenix. George Harris as Kingsley Shacklebolt, another member of the Order of the Phoenix. Julie Walters as Molly Weasley, the Weasley matriarch, a mother figure to Harry. Mark Williams as Arthur Weasley, Ron Weasley's father and Aura at the Ministry of Magic. Domhnall Gleeson as Bill Weasley, Arthur and Molly's eldest son, who helps Harry to escape from Little Whinging and who is to marry Fleur. Clemence Posey as Fleur de Delacour, a French witch at the Beauxbatons School, also helps Harry to escape from Little Whinging. Guy Henry as Piers Thickeners, the puppet minister of magic installed by Voldemort. Peter Mullan as Corbin Yaxley, a Death Eater at the Ministry of Magic. Carolyn Pickles as Charity Burbage, the Muggle study teacher at Hogwarts, tortured and killed by Voldemort. David Ryhall as Eliphas Dodge, an old school friend of Albus Dumbledore who defends him in an obituary. Richard Griffiths as Vernon Dursley, Harry's Muggle uncle, and Fiona Shaw as Petunia Dursley, Harry's Muggle aunt. Now let's discuss some differences from the book and the film. Fleur Delacour invites Victor Krum to a wedding in the book. He and Hermione are thrilled to see one another, but Ron jealously escorts her away to the dance floor. These scenes were filmed for Deathly Hallows Part 1, where Krum attends the wedding and dances with Hermione as a jealous Ron looks on. Pictures of the scene have surfaced online, but footage of the actual scene has never been released. In the final cut of the movie, Krum does not attend the wedding at all. Remus Lupin is remembered as a beloved and heroic figure. While he is deserving of this legacy, Deathly Hallows Part 1 chooses not to include his most shameful moment. In the book, Lupin goes to Grimmauld Place, where Harry, Ron and Hermione are hiding. He tries to convince them into letting him join their quest to destroy Voldemort. While this sounds like a great offer, Harry realizes that Lupin is trying to run away from Tonks, who is pregnant with Lupin's child. Lupin is anxious about the child being a werewolf like him and is trying to run away from his problems. Harry calls Lupin a coward for trying to leave his pregnant wife, and only later does Lupin realize that Harry is right. Lupin never comes to Grimmauld Place in the movie and never tries to leave his pregnant wife Tonks as he does in the book. In both the book and the films, Harry and Hermione are left in a dark place after Ron abandons them during their hunt for the Horcruxes. Consumed by misery and desperate to find a momentary reprieve of happiness, Harry and Hermione end up dancing together in their tent. Fans have chosen to interpret the scene in different ways and what it means for Harry and Hermione's relationship. Regardless, the scene does not appear in the book. The Snatcher Scabier is part of Fenrir Greyback's gang in the book. He helps Greyback capture Harry, Ron, and Hermione and helps them bring back to the Malfoy Manor. Bellatrix stuns him after seeing the Snatchers with the sword of Godric Gryffindor, and this is the last the readers see of him. Scabier has a more prominent role in the films. Instead of Greyback, Scabier is depicted as the leader of the Snatchers who captures Ron, Harry, and Hermione. He reappears during the Battle of Hogwarts in the Deathly Hallows Part 2, where he leads the army of Snatchers. Wormtail suffers a much darker fate in the books than he does in the films. In both mediums, fans last see Wormtail when he is set to investigate the commotion in the cellar at Malfoy Manor. In the book, when Harry and Ron ambush him, Wormtail begins to choke Harry. Harry, though, reminds Wormtail that he owes him a life debt. Wormtail hesitates for a moment, and his fleeting mercy causes his silver hand to strangle himself to death. In the movie, Wormtail is simply stunned from behind by Dobby and makes a comedic sound as he falls to the ground. This is the last scene the fans see of Wormtail in the films, and it pales in comparison to being strangled to death by the silver hand that Voldemort gave him. Now, in order to review Deathly Hallows Part 1, you have to take it into consideration that this is only Part 1 of a two-part film. So you almost have to review both films together. But for this review, obviously we're focusing on Part 1. And Part 1 is beautifully filmed, emotionally satisfying, and a penultimate installment for the Harry Potter series. For the most part, the action romps along, spurred by some impressive special effects. It's just that you know the whole time while you're watching it, you're going to leave halfway through, and you're going to have to wait for Part 2. So it's basically like half a movie, or half a story. In saying that, though, it's a well-made, harrowing film, but it's completely unintelligible for anyone coming into the series for the first time. This is definitely a film you'd have to have watched all the previous films to get to. In saying that, though, Deathly Hallows Part 1 is menacing and meditative and definitely fits in within the franchise by perfectly upholding the standard of all the excellent Harry Potter films. For me, this is an elatingly downbeat blockbuster that sets up perfectly for Part 2. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 gets an 8 out of 10.